I'm like, I swear.
I don't even know this one.
Do you know Hideki had a huge porn collection?
See,
just made that up. No, he's Google it. Google it.
What did y'all give him this morning? He is off the racks over here.
He asked me specifically for Vyvanse this morning. Didn't give it to him. I was confused.
Oh, look out. Mikey is hit and down he goes. Man. And he is not happy at all. That is the second time that Mikie Mahtook has been hit in this game. But
7 or 7:30 exam in the morning. So I'll walk outside.
Real life.
And I'm walking in my car, and I'm like,
damn, I know.
Man, I could have sworn I parked over here. I'm like, what? Nah, maybe it's out here. I'm gonna go look around over here, bro. I walked like 3 parking spots, like in the direction I thought I probably parked. I'm like, fuck that! I know I parked right here.
Doing that and out there playing for hours instead of just chilling on the video games is also insane.
Chilling on the video games. Did you just age 55,000 years?
well, we call them Fortnite nerds.
Yeah.
You know,
chilling on the
Fortnite
video
nerds.
games.
I mean, chilling, like playing video games.
That's the
fucking
way to
gaming.
say it, yes?
You think an old man would say chilling on the video game?
That's what you just said, yes!
You think an old man would say chilling?
On the video game?
On the video games?
Well, oh well.
You're an old man.
If you want,
Well,
I'm not a gamer.
You're getting older.
I mean, I guess I
Mikey.
Just mic'd up with Mikie Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got J Mitch. We got Jackie boys.
He tried to jump up and he might have knocked it in.
Good time. Let's go. What a start to the Monday.
I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys would come in, say,
Oh God.
So me and Joe on the ground. I got Joe in a headlock, and he's sitting there. Helmet. He's punching me in the stomach, like steady punching me.
Here, and there's everyone sitting around. Who here thinks Ochinko can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad's been with the team
6 minutes.
for 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Ochinko can practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I fucking saw you there. You were more fucked up than me.
Be on the Spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
You heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her. I smelled it.
Whoa. What was that?
Time to start the show. Why would I have that?
You had the circus or something.
6'3", I'm late. Like, I don't even know what I'd be doing.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you gonna bring your chinchilla and your turtle?
My dad tell you about it?
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? And it's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they're all fatter than me.
Players, look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
Yeah.
He was like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now.
Hello. Good evening. Welcome back to Mic'd Up. Today's Monday, January 23rd. We have a wonderful big show for you guys tonight. We're still without a lot of our team. J Mitch just had a wedding in Cabo. I am just getting back from Cabo, so if I look a little tan, I have a little bit of a hat tan line. Can you see the hat tan line? You can see it? Like I tried my hardest the second day.
Can't wear the head in Cabo.
Well, it was the first day. I forgot. It was just, listen, we got there. We were excited. We're having a couple drinks by the pool.
I get it.
And then we started playing. They had cornhole at the resort. We had a big competition, obviously, because we can't go anywhere without competition. We go do that. I forget that I had the hat on. Obviously, whatever. The next day, I go out there and try. It's the day of the wedding, so we didn't get to stay outside as much as we wanted to. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get out there kind of early, keep a hat off, kind of got rid of it a little bit, but the lighting is exposing me.
You gotta find the shade like Jay Mitch does.
It's exposing me. Yeah, Jay Mitch found the shade. The wedding was amazing. One of the most fun weddings I've ever been to. A lot of people showed up. The resort was beautiful. Ceremony was beautiful. The reception was awesome. They had a cigar bar in the corner. They were just rolling cigars out there in Mexico. You had I drank more tequila than I've ever drank before in my life. I wasn't even a big tequila guy. I think tequila is my drink of choice now.
It should
Tequila, good tequila, on the rocks with a little bit of lime juice. Very healthy, no hangovers, and very good for you.
Great
and
for
you get a
you.
little drunk. It's nice. We had a really good time. Jay Mitch deserved it. Jay Mitch looked awesome. His wife looked awesome. They had a lot of fun. They are honeymooning for the next week. He will be back in studio next week. Lloyd has hopefully only one more week on this hiatus that he is going through right now. So in the meantime, you have me, you have Stewie, you have Jackie Boy, and you got Ron. Now today on this show, Gordon McKernan is coming in studio at 6:15. We're going to talk all things NIL. Baseball is right around the corner. Me and Gordon had a really nice conversation last night at the baseball banquet, which was unbelievable last night. Like, if you weren't part of that as an LSU fan, you missed out, right? They had over 1,000 people there. It was at the Crown Plaza right there off of Constitution. It is back where that's normally where it usually is at. They went to, I think, LeBeur's last year. They outgrew LeBeur's. They had to go back to the Crown Plaza, more room, over 1,000 people there. Great show out. Bregman was there. He introduced Jay Johnson. Jay came up and spoke a little bit. They took away the keynote speaker, which I think is a good thing. Yeah. I think, sometimes the keynote speakers get a little long-winded. Now, if you have a good one, it's great. Sometimes they get a little bit long-winded.
Then they get boring.
I'll say that. Hopefully one day I'm a keynote speaker somewhere. Talk about my story. But the first pitch breaking was awesome. I talked to Gordon there. He's excited to come on the show. Baseball is right around the corner. He has Trey Morgan is one of his athletes that he signed to NIL deals. He has obviously been in the news, been around Baton Rouge, signing all these athletes to NIL deals. He does it in a very strategic way, which is impressive to me. Can't wait to talk with him. Can't wait to chat with him. Again, he's coming in 10 minutes in studio. If you didn't pay attention to the football games this weekend, I feel bad for you too, because Joe Burrow, and look, I told y'all on the show, I didn't want to go against Joe, but I felt like since they didn't have their offensive line intact and their offensive line played so bad the week before, that I just didn't think that they'd be able to hold off the Bills from pressuring Joe and getting in. They're playing in Buffalo. It was snowy. I don't think the weather was necessarily going to be an issue for me. It was more about, are they going to be able to protect him? And boy, did they protect him. Not only did they protect him, they ran it right down their throats. I think they ran it for 160 yards. Joe Mixon looked like an animal. He had over 100 yards rushing. Joe Burrow he started the game 9 for 9 with 2 touchdowns. They got up to a 14-0 lead. Obviously, Buffalo kind of made it a game. I want to say it got to be 17-10. And then at that point it was all Cincinnati. Ran away with it, ended up winning 27-10. Joe Burrow is, in my mind, if he goes out this weekend and beats Patrick Mahomes on the road,
second year in a row.
It'll be the 4th game in a row that he's beaten the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. If he goes out there and beats them and gets to the Super Bowl again, to me, he's the best quarterback in the league. Right now, I think it's Mahomes and it's Joe Burrow, and then it's Josh Allen after him. I think he's done a very good job of putting himself in there. He's steady Eddie. He's even keel. Doesn't get too high. Doesn't get too low. Is Joe cool, bro? That's what he is, right? And so he dominated. Bengals move on to the championship weekend. It's going to be a great weekend of NFL games next weekend. LSU women's basketball, if you not pay attention to that, they get their biggest win of the season against Arkansas. Closest game they've played. Angel Reese is a stud. Double-double in every single game. She looks to break that double-double streak, the double-double record tonight. They are playing at Alabama at 6 o'clock. Actually, it's already tipped off. Kim Mulkey's got the girls playing some high level basketball. They moved back in the poll a little bit to 4. They got jumped by a 2-loss team. That's okay. I think the polls are going to work themselves out. That big game that's coming up in a couple weeks, I think it's going to make. They're going to show them how good they really are after that game, right? Whether they win or lose, if it's a tight game, they're going to show, hey, we belong right in the middle of the top 3 teams in the country. But Kim's got Kim's got the girls playing high level basketball. It's exciting to watch because LSU men's basketball is struggling. They are going through it right now. They are not. I'd imagine they're not having much fun on the basketball court, and you'd hope that some of these younger guys, and I spoke about it last week, would start developing a little bit. You know what I mean? You would imagine, like, hey, if we're losing games, we're not just losing games, we're getting blown out, we're getting beat by 20, we're not scoring any points. Let's get some of these guys. Hopefully the development comes towards the end of the year. You start seeing improvement going into next year. Can't judge McMahon on his first year. He had almost an impossible task, 0 scholarship players. He inherited a team with 0 scholarship players, had to recruit 2 of them back, had to bring a whole new team in, whole new staff, give them some time. But right now, not going great. Yeah, get it out. Get it out of there. Get it out of there. LSU football just got rated the number 1 transfer portal class in the country. That is coming on the heels of Omar Spieghts, first-team All Pac-12 linebacker, transferring in from Oregon State. From Oregon State, 308 career tackles. He is now at LSU. Obviously, linebacker was a big question mark. How are we going to fill that? How are we going to fill this role? We are lacking there. If you go look at all the transfers that we've got that LSU has brought in, there's been one on the offensive side. That's Aaron Anderson. I think that was a necessary addition. Everybody else came on the defensive side of the football, which is the spot defensive line and linebackers and cornerbacks, right? So, like, you filled in all 3 levels of the defense with guys who are experienced, who are talented, and I think that Brian Kelly is proving that he understands how to execute the plan that he has in place to perfection. And, you know, all of the question marks of can he recruit, can he not recruit, is he going to be able to adapt down here? I think he's answered all of those, and I think it's time to move on from that narrative because he has done nothing but prove all of that. All of you who have announced or said that he can't recruit. 1 second. All of those that cannot recruit, he put that
to bed
issues
quick.
to bed. Right? Sorry. Hey, go see if G's here, just to make sure. But he's done an unbelievable job. He's set this team up for success. They are win now. Obviously, you lost. You're gonna with bringing guys in, you're gonna lose some guys. That's just a part of it. That's the nature of the beast. But I think he's done a very good job of replacing the guys that have left. The last item on the agenda down the Heineken headlines here is big question mark with the Pelicans, right? Because they were hot. They kind of got into a lull. Is what's going on with Brandon Ingram? Is he going to play? Why has he been out so long? Brandon Ingram has played 5-on-5. He has scrimmaged. He has been there. He looked healthy. They come out and say today that it looks like he may be able to be back on the court by the end of the homestand. Hopefully, fingers crossed. You don't want to. We've seen this before last year with Zion. Zion obviously has to go through. He's going to get more imaging done, which is, I guess, to just update and see how he's going. It'd be nice to get those guys back.
Yes.
They've kept this afloat. They've struggled recently, but they've kept it afloat. Right? They've done the best they can with the guys they have. You know, they're still right in the mix. Bring these guys back, and now they have an opportunity to get to where they need to be. I want to go back to at least talk about the. No? All right. I want to talk a little bit about the first pitch banquet because this was the first pitch banquet that I have attended in a long time, but it was the first one I've attended as a non-baseball player, right? When I was at LSU, I attended it as an actual player. And then when I left and I was able to attend it, I was in town, I was attending it as a professional baseball player. I was just coming in, you know, to see everybody and just be a part of it. This one was the first time that I have been there without, you know, having any affiliation currently in the baseball world. And so I kind of treated it as like a fan. I sat down on my table, the ticket that I had, and I sat in there, and it was very impressive for me to watch and see the energy that LSU baseball has and has created going into the season. Obviously, they're hyped up. They come out with the Baseball America comes out with the preseason polls. They're number 1 in that preseason poll. I think that gives them a clean sweep of all of the major preseason polls. They're number 1 in all 4 major polls. And obviously the hype is there. The hype is real. And I don't think that they're shying away from the hype. But to go back and look at and see the energy and all of the people who showed up to the first pitch banquet, which is, listen, the first pitch banquet is fun. It is, it's kind of the unofficial start of college baseball, but there's really not much like outside of like wanting to meet the team and see the people there. Like there's no keynote speaker. Alex Bregman introduced Jay Johnson. Jay Johnson spoke for I think 2 minutes, right? Like it was more about the players. They had a little bit of a panel. They asked a few questions to a few of the guys up there, which I thought one of the questions was asked, or one of the responses was, so Paul Spieghts, when he was at the Air Force, obviously was flying, fighter jets.
Wait, was he seriously?
He got up to 9 Gs. He's been to 9 Gs on a plane.
So he's like
He's not. He wasn't piloting. He was in the back seat.
But he's still like a fighter pilot.
He's not. But he was. You're in the Air
He's
Force.
A part
that's
of the,
kind of what,
yeah.
He said he's gotten to 9 Gs before. Like that's to me is pretty crazy. Paul Spieghts actually has won a game in Alex Box. His first game in 220. His first game of his college career.
It was the opening series of him and Dylan's career, and it was Dylan's first homer was off of Paul Spieghts.
There you go. But Paul Spieghts won.
Yeah.
He beat LSU. That one game there for us.
Close it. They were up, 3 runs or so on the Sunday game, and Dylan was leading off and took him off the scoreboard. But then Paul got the rest.
They started blowing it by guys. But you got to hear from guys. You got to hear from Dylan Cruz, Paul Spieghts, Ty Floyd, and Trey Morgan. All of those 4 were on the panel, along with Jay Johnson. So it's nice to see these guys, have the attention and have the support from all of the fans. But I think the more important side of it was it's nice to see the fans show out because, look, there's a lot of energy and there's a lot of hype, but LSU hasn't gotten to the point where they needed to be in the last few years. Last year they didn't get out of the regional. The year before you had COVID. You had a bunch of different things. Over 1,000 people showed up at this first pitch banquet, and to me that says all you need to know. There's a lot of energy putting into LSU baseball. LSU baseball is going to be real. This is not just the hype train. This isn't, I hope they can perform. Like, I don't think – actually, I know. I know that these guys aren't looking at the
preseason
polls before I'm thinking about this. Ron, make sure the door's open. Is it open?
For Gordon?
Yeah. Make sure it's open so that when he just walks right in. The hype is real, but they don't they embrace that. And I was talking to a lot of the parents, I was talking to a lot of the fans, and they were asking me questions. And for me, there's been other years where they've had number 1 preseason rankings since 2009. But if you remember the 2008 into the 2008 season going into the 2009 season, 2008 team started that season, I want to say they were 21-16-1. Not very good. Then they go on the 23-game winning streak. They make it to Omaha. They're a national seed. They go all the way to Omaha, and they are about to go 2-Q. They have that big walk-off win against Rice. I don't know exactly. I don't think it's Rice. They had a walk-off win, big walk-off win, and end up going 1-2. But they played really well. The next year, a lot of those guys are coming back. Lewis Coleman he's 8-0 the year before. He announced that he's not going to the draft. He's coming back. Anthony Ronaldo was hurt all that year. He comes back as a highly touted starting pitcher. Micah Gibbs comes back as a sophomore after being freshman All-SEC, I believe. Maybe freshman of the year. DJ LeMahieu comes back as a sophomore. Blake Dean decides he's not going to go into the draft, right? So he comes back. Mitch comes back. He's a junior. He's draft eligible. Sean Ochinko comes back. Now, all of these guys were coming from a number 1 recruiting class. Like, when they got to LSU and they were brought here, they were the number 1 recruiting class in the country. Sounds a little bit familiar, right, to Dylan Cruz and these boys, right? So, Schimpf's coming back. Schimpf has been a 2-year starter. You basically had an entire team coming back to LSU. So, the hype going into that 2009, plus you have a freshman class that wasn't as highly touted as that number 1 recruiting class in the country or the recruiting class they brought in this year at LSU. But I was in that class, you had Nola in that class, you had Hanover in that class, you had Matty Ott in that class. You had a bunch of, Leon Landry was coming back. You had a bunch of guys that were already there. Chad Jones was there. So you had that hype coming in. So in 2009, we knew that was real. We embraced that. We came in and we said, we have this one common goal on the team. We know how good we are. We know where we should be. And we're not going to accept anything less than that. And so it wasn't pressure to us. We thrived on that. We wanted that. And I think that this team has that same mentality. And so, perfect timing. Gordon McKernan just shows up. We're going to take a 30-second break. Let's get Gordon set up. He was at the banquet. He can talk about the energy that was there at the baseball banquet. You're watching Mik'd. We'll be back to you in 30 seconds. Our What's for Lunch segment is brought to you by Doe's Eat Place. Maybe the best burger in town. If you're not looking for lunch, you're looking for dinner, go check out Doe's Eat Place. They have unbelievable choice of meats. They have unbelievable tamales. They have a great atmosphere, great vibes. If you're looking for a homey Louisiana type of atmosphere, but you're looking for high quality food, Doe's Eat Place is your spot. Go in the back bar, sit at the bar, have a couple drinks, watch some games, enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the vibes. Check out Doe's Eat Place, the best place in Baton Rouge to get your meats. Welcome back to Mik'd Up. We are excited to be joined by the man himself, the guy. I don't want to call him the savior of the NIL, but he has spearheaded the efforts here at LSU. He has been, you see his billboards, you see his face everywhere. All around good guy, Gordon McKernan. Thank you so much for coming in.
Glad to be
go
here.
Ahead. Look, if you want to drink, go ahead and drink in one of those.
See if these were cold or
not.
not.
No, I wish they were. I wanted them once upon a time they were cold, but that's the new. I'm glad. Look, that's a perfect segue into the Heineken's. That's their new can. That's kind of their equivalent to Michelob Ultra.
Really?
It's a light beer. It doesn't really. If you don't like Heineken, it's probably good because it doesn't taste like Heineken. It tastes just like Michelob.
Really?
Kind of similar light beer.
I haven't had it yet, but
yeah. Well,
just see if they were cold.
Yeah, I wish. I wish I could
offer
you a cold beer.
on these podcasts. Can
So,
you go ahead and
you can
have one during them and stuff and kick them back?
Digital media. There's no
FTC's not involved.
Not at all. I can pop one open anytime I want. Usually on Fridays we drink on the show a little bit, but we have a good time. Thanks for coming in.
Glad to be here.
I appreciate this. I know you're a busy man. I saw you last night.
Yep.
Talk about the first pitch break. How awesome was that to me?
Yeah.
I've been to a few.
Yeah.
That was the most I've ever seen there.
Yeah, I thought the energy level, as you've talked about there, was great, and there's certainly such a big expectation level, right? I mean, everybody just wow. But yeah, you can feel it, you can sense it that there's something a little different, a little expected by these guys. And talking to Trey and some of the other people that I talked to, I think one thing that's becoming apparent to me is they feel better conditioned, better prepared from a weight room standpoint. Because I'm hearing like the pitchers are throwing, their miles per hour, each went up several miles, and it's largely because of the new training program, and they're just stronger and they're throwing better.
Have they detailed that?
I asked Trey about it because I was we were at lunch the other day and watched some stuff, and he goes, "Oh yeah, it's different. I mean, they've been hitting it. Yeah, so I think there's a little, it's anything. You get a little stronger, you look a little better, you get a little more confident.
Yeah, right? You feel good, look good, play good, right? That's kind of how it works.
So I think that's some of it.
Ty Floyd mentioned that on the player panel, I believe. He said, "What did Wes Johnson bring?" And he said, "Sleds."
Yeah,
sleds. Yeah, I mean,
Sleds.
I think,
That's right.
yeah, and I mean, they're stronger. I mean, obviously, you see a lot of guys come from college and they go to professional baseball, and then you're like, man, that guy threw 91 miles an hour in college, and now he's throwing 98. Well, he got older, he matured, he got stronger, you understand? So
that's right.
To be able to do it earlier is a huge thing.
Yeah, for sure.
You mentioned Trey.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously, you know, he's part of, you signed an NIL deal with Trey. You have NIL deals with a lot of people see football players, right? And a lot of people, you sign NIL deals with the women's basketball team, which, by the way, they're, I mean, that's special, right? They have something special going over there. But people kind of forget some of the smaller sports. And I don't think baseball is a small sport here, but you know, around the country, you know, maybe so.
Right.
What goes into the dynamic of like the baseball NIL, right? You have Trey, you have Tommy White, I believe.
Yeah, well, I mean,
working. I don't know.
I think we agreed with Paul Skeens today on
there
some
we go.
terms. And Tommy, hopefully this week, and maybe Gavin, you know, the freshman. So we're looking at, I like 3 to 4 kind of in baseball. I mean, it's, you know, football, you have 22 guys in the field,
right,
so
of course.
a little bigger numbers. But baseball, I think 3 to 4. Last year we just had 2. Tried to get Dylan Cruz last year. And,
he doesn't want any part of it.
Well, I mean, he did. I talked to his dad. He's a nice man, George, and he's a good man. But they had a whole different thing going on. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
and, I'm not saying that he comes from money, but I ain't saying that he doesn't come from money. Right.
They do well.
Yeah, so there was a whole different thing going on when I visited them. So I said, no, y'all just go do your thing.
Yeah.
But they were really nice people. So we had 2 last year. So I think taking up to about 4 people this year. But going into it, what I'm looking for, and it kind of can come in any formula, so to speak. But I'm looking for, first of all, good character kids, right?
Yep.
You don't always know if you're getting them, but you try to do the best research you can because you want someone to represent your brand and be an ambassador for your brand.
Right.
So that's number 1. Number 2, you're looking for players typically who do perform fairly well on the field, right?
Of course.
I mean, I'm not against signing the guys on the bench, but you know, I'd rather sign the starters and stuff. So that's the second thing. A third thing that I would really look for is a personality. You just see them, you look at them, you go, wow, that's different. Now it could be really flamboyant, and they're like Trey. When I saw Trey last year, when I walked in the first pitch, I said, Terma has that. I want to.
Gotta have that guy.
You know,
marketable.
Right. Didn't know much about it. But then also when I look up there and I see Tommy White up there, it's a little, you scratch your head and go, all right, that's a little different.
And
so
you watch him swing a baseball bat, you're like, oh, okay,
yeah. So it's intriguing, right?
Yeah.
Wow, he's kind of different. So that would be another one. And then anyone who has a good story or kind of it's interesting, like Paul Skeens has an interesting story, right? When you meet him and you sit down, you talk to him, and he wanted to go to the Air Force to serve his country, right? And that's what he wanted to do. Yeah. And they got caught. Wow, I've gotten really a lot better in baseball, and now I might have this thing going on. So he's got an interesting story. So kind of character, performance on the field, personality, or story. That's where I kind of live.
What goes into these contracts? Like you know, obviously you laid out how you basically choose or you target the guys that you want to go after, but then when you say, okay, these are the guys, when you go into these, you don't sign them to a year. Yeah, God bless you.
I really just sneezed.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know, some people say, do you sign them to a year long? Do you sign them to 6 long?
No, don't. You know, any businessmen or women out there listening, don't sign them to a year-long contract. The chances that every kid you sign 18 to 22, 23, or your Stetson Bennett's NIL 25, 26, right? A little different, but the chance that young man or woman is going to do everything they're supposed to do in a year-long deal and stay out of trouble and all those other things is almost zero. Right. It's just not going to happen. Right. So I would rather do a series of rolling contracts, and that's what I do, typically 2 to 3 months, depending on when I sign them. And if everything goes well, we re-sign again. And that does 2 things. That's what I tell all the kids. Number 1, it protects me. And that if something goes wrong in this relationship, you know, you get arrested or some bad social media press gets out there and I need to distance myself, I'm not going to terminate them necessarily. I just let the contract expire. Yep. Right? It's a lot better headline for me that I didn't re-sign them than I had to fire them or terminate them, right? And the kid starts hitting me up and so I got fired, you know, he's supposed to be this. I don't want that. Right. So it protects me. Number 2, if by chance you have some kid that blows up, right? And all of a sudden he goes from, you know, the bench to starting and just producing.
Absolutely.
Well, I signed you the first time, and let's say I'm paying you $1,000 a post. Well, you went from 10,000 followers, now you have 40. Well, I got to
Right.
pay you a lot more money now. So it's good for you. You build your name, image, and likeness, reputation up, and your influential value up, then I got to pay you more.
Yep.
So go out there and do good things on the field, in the community, and you make more money.
Now, is that something different than a lot of other places that you've heard? I'm sure that you're kind of, your finger on the pulse of NIL in other areas.
Yeah, I don't want to say people don't think through these things enough, but I think
I'll say it for you.
Yeah, I think some of these people, depends on their purpose. I think some of these collectives and directives where people are just trying to acquire the talent and amass the talent at a school, they're not really caring about that. They're just doing it the wrong way. Right?
And that's actually my next question, because that's kind of, I'm a big advocate for players in college being compensated for their abilities, right? But I am against the way that they're treating, like the way they're trying to recruit these high school. Because listen, when you go into the Major League Baseball or the NFL or the NBA or any professional league, when I played for the Detroit Tigers, I was a starter. Played center field every day.
Right.
I didn't get any endorsement deals just because I played.
Right.
You know who got the endorsement deals? Miguel Cabrera, Ian Kinsler, the guys who are performing on the field and they've had a name brand, they've done it, right? So you have to earn that on the field. So I was against that. So do you go at, like, are you kind of along those same lines of like, hey, I'm going to reward, you're going to get paid based off what you do, and then the better you play, the more you get rewarded?
Well, yeah, without a doubt.
Right.
This isn't pay for play, right? The NCAA doesn't want that. The first thing I'm going to do in every single contractual relationship with these young men and women is not put them in jeopardy or myself in jeopardy, right? I don't want any NCAA investigator ever calling the coach or calling me and trying to talk to me and say, well, how can you justify this payment, right? That's not going to happen.
Right.
Because I care too much about these young men and women and the school. I'm not going to put anything in jeopardy, right? So I think some of those other places that are doing that, depending on how the NCAA and things work out, there's going to be some interesting investigations, I think, one day.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do that. And as I said, I build it into a short-term contract. There's a lot of incentive for them to do well on the field for lots of reasons, right? Just they want to keep in school. They want to go to the pros.
Yep.
They can raise their value with me and other businessmen and women. So I'm not going to do one of those heavy deals where you don't do much and you get paid.
And that's brings me to my next point, right? Because we spoke a little bit off air about this. I think people what gets lost in this transaction of, hey, you have signed a contract, you have responsibilities, you execute the responsibilities, you get paid.
Right.
People automatically say, oh, they're just paying them, they're not going to do anything. What you do is you hold these kids accountable. They have a responsibility, or they don't. Their contract is null and void because they're not executing the contract that you agreed to. That creates a sense of that teaches them what the real world is, teaches them business, teaches them how to be accountable, and it teaches them how to understand how to negotiate contracts and negotiate real life situations, right? And like I think that's kind of what gets missed in some of these NIL talks with other people from the outside looking like, oh, this is just paying them to play. No, I don't think that's the case. So I just want to say kudos to that, because I think that, because if I would have had, I wish I was able to learn that before I got drafted and had to look at a contract like, what the hell am I looking at?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
no, certainly. They're going to have, we call them deliverables
Yep.
in the contract. There's certain things they have to deliver, right, to be paid. And they have to deliver, whether it's a social media post, or they got to show up for a community event, or they got to show up for a a commercial shoot or a billboard photo shoot. They have to show up. They have to deliver certain things. If they don't get paid.
Right.
Right. And it's amazing. Some of them will get behind, and we get towards the end of the contract when they want the new contract, and we're like, sorry, the new contract. You're 3 deliverables behind. Right?
Yeah.
How do I make that up? I want to make, I'm sorry, I got a little behind. I'll make it up and say, well, you got to go make it up before we do a new contract.
Right. And that's accountability. That's the real life. And I think that's important. Have you seen anything different change? Like, have you seen NIL, the way it's structured, change from when it started to how it is now? And if you haven't, do you foresee any? I mean, it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the tube, but is there?
It is. No, I've seen having just now that the portal's fully open and now we've NIL with this first full, seems like season coming into it. What experienced in the last several weeks with football, for example, was just crazy.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the friends that I have at other SEC schools and types who I'm good friends with, and I trust what they're telling me
Right,
about
right.
what's going on over there, because they've learned that maybe I'm kind of deeply involved with LSU and IL, right? And they'll call and say, "Man, I saw where you signed. What is going? What are y'all doing?
Yeah.
I mean, we can't figure this out over here. It's out of control." So there's a sense that the genie's out of the bottle. We know we're not getting it out of the bottle, but god dang,
Right.
it is crazy.
There's no regulation.
Yeah, there's no regulation, and I'm talking. These are big Texas schools and big, southeastern schools with deep pockets,
Right.
and they're all complaining about it. So I do think that, and it may take a little longer than we all hope for, and
Right.
I know that most of the NCAA presidents and stuff want Congress to get involved. I think it might take a little bit longer because you have all sorts of issues that people aren't thinking about with different states trying to classify student athletes as employees in a certain
Right.
state. So you can imagine if a football player is an employee of the school, what that means in terms of what you have to pay them, if there's overtime, they get injured on the job. It's just all sorts of headaches. So if you have that in one state, but you don't have it in another state, there becomes a competitive advantage or disadvantage in recruiting and how you do things. So this is a lot. There's a lot of litigations that are popping up around the country on these things, and you have certain legislatures that are passing very advantageous rules regarding student athletes that benefit their state that may not exist in the state next door, and that's a competitive advantage.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting. I think they'll have to.
So LSU obviously brought in a ton of transfers on the baseball side, right?
Yep,
They've,
they did.
and they number one transfer portal. I mean, obviously Paul Skeens was one of those guys.
Yeah.
Tommy White was one of those guys. Do you see not? This is the collective, probably part of it, like the LSU collective. Was that a big role? Did that play a big role, or is it more about, hey, we're going to come here because we're trying to, this is where they want to be?
I think there's something special about LSU baseball.
Yep.
Right. And we know most of these kids, they're not getting a ton of scholarship money when they come, and they have to divide it up and all those things. I think the experience in the box and the history and the tradition is just different. You've been around, played. It's hard to describe. You know, I mean, college baseball, and the same as college football. You can go to 30 stadiums in college football on a Saturday, and it's packed. There ain't nowhere else like it is out here, right? So I think they see that and they know it. And you take the coaching staff we have now. I think you can.
And Jay understands it.
Yeah,
he
does. And that pitching coach, man. I mean,
he's the real deal.
Yeah, it's
anytime you get a guy from the big leagues, he's a big league pitching coach.
That's right.
On a first place team,
right?
I think people forget that Minnesota's in first place, and Jay says, "Hey, when you want to come back to college? Yep, sign me up. I'm going to leave my big league job, and I'm going to come back and play in college." That's says all you need to know about that.
I've had all sorts of representatives and family members of football players in other colleges reach out to me when they're at another college and talk about it. If I come back to LSU, is there going to be something for me? Nobody in baseball. That's not happening. That's not motivating them right now. And a lot of them are pretty already doing things, right? It's just a smaller fraternity. They understand it better. So, no, I don't think NIL is playing that big of a part in the baseball side. But it doesn't hurt, right?
Doesn't hurt.
Because now they're all getting some walk-around money and some money to do some things that they otherwise wouldn't have.
When they go, look, and I think something LSU baseball, especially LSU baseball, they haven't really reached this point yet. They will this year because they're hyped up. The number one team in the country. They're going to be on TV a lot. Let's say they make a deep run. Let's say they win the World Series.
Right.
You're on ESPN a ton. Super regionals.
Right.
Regionals, Omaha, the whole deal. You're gonna those personalities that you mentioned are going to be shown. That's right. They highlight these guys that have personalities, the best players, and the guys that are coming back. Like, I would imagine that some of these guys may get some national sponsors going into next year, baseball-wise, because of the visibility and because it's baseball and it's just a little bit easier to see in college baseball. That's my next question is, and you may not be able to, you may answer it, may not, but are players able to monetize, like, let's say Dylan Cruz wants to sell Dylan Cruz number 3 jerseys in the thing, right? LSU sells that. Does he get a percentage? Like, how does that? Do you know how that? Works?
So you're saying independent of a signing show where Dylan Cruz goes to a sports memorabilia collector and signs a bunch of bunch of jerseys, right?
Right.
Independent of that, because that's those guys. It was funny. I was at the banquet last night, and I'm looking at some jerseys, and the guy who owned that whole show, right? He had a hat on, and I bid on a few things, and somehow I got outbid. It was supposed to end at 8.
Yep.
And I was a winning bid at 8 on something, and it said losing, and I bid again, and it kept taking it after 8. And I was like, this ain't right. I mean, the bid went up another $1,000 after 8 o'clock, and I'm thinking, I wonder if this guy's just working me or something. I don't know, but nevertheless, I bowed out of that bid. But it was like, gotta be kidding me. But I'm walking, I'm looking, talking to him, and I said, yeah, I got Perkins coming to sign on Thursday with me. I said, oh well, I do an NIL deal.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna get him to sign a bunch of stuff. So on that, Perk or whoever will just get paid a flat fee, and they sign for 30 minutes and sign 100 jerseys and get $10,000, whatever it is. So you're saying specifically on the merchandise.
Like if the school wants to sell the merch to the player, are they able to do that? Like is the school able to say?
Oh, you mean like Dylan Cruz's jersey?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're able to do that. Yeah.
And is there like does
now
player,
that's a great question.
Yeah.
And you mean if his name is on the back of the
jersey? Exactly.
And all of a sudden Dylan's blowing up, or Tommy and him are having a home run baseball derby in terms of who's up there, and they're both selling it. That's a good question. I'm gonna find that out tomorrow.
You know what I mean? Because that so the way I was thinking about this, right, is like, I mean, in Major League Baseball,
they should get a cut of that.
They should get a cut of that, right? In Major League Baseball, we have licensing agreements as players with MLB, so we get a licensing check based off of, and it's all split, right, or whatever. But like the bigger players get more. So I just didn't know.
Yeah, I don't know if LSU, when you pick up something, it doesn't typically say Cruz on the back. It would just have LSU.
Right.
Nothing.
I just didn't know if they could do that. I don't know.
That's a great question. They ought to.
They ought
I think
to.
the football team, I think Fanatics sold football jerseys.
I
with
think
the
they
guys'
do with different
names,
names, and they probably give them a check now.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that's part of the name, image, and likeness.
Right.
Capitalize on it for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thought about that. And
seems logical.
Figured you would maybe know or not know, but I know you'll find out.
I'm gonna find that. That's a great question.
I think that should happen for me, like baseball wise, because we couldn't even hold camps.
Yeah.
Right. So like when I was in school, if you held a camp, your name couldn't be on a camp, and you couldn't put LSU on the camp. You could just be an instructor on the camp.
Right.
And so now, like for me, baseball, there's a lot of money in camps.
Right.
I would imagine that I've seen Trey Morgan has host camps, and you go out there, you go get sponsors. You say you're going to sponsor the food or this, and you go and you have a weekend camp over Christmas, and you charge like that's real money.
Right.
You're able to do, and that's not really capped. And I feel like that's a pretty good avenue for teams like baseball guys to be able to be able to.
That's a good question, because that LSU logo is very protected.
Right.
So I don't know if LSU gives the right to Trey Morgan during the summer to use the LSU logo on his camp stuff, or no, you got to stay away from that and just say Trey Morgan.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting how they navigate all of that. As far as other schools, I mean, other sports within the school. Like we talked about women's basketball. They're doing unbelievable. Obviously,
phenomenal.
I think they should be the number one team in the country. I'm biased. Obviously, they're going to prove that they're going to be the number one team here in 2 weeks when they go play at South Carolina.
Right.
How has been working with Kim Mulkey? How has been working with the team? Because you talk about characters, you talk about personalities. They have a lot of personalities on that team.
They have some strong personalities.
Yeah, exactly. And how has it been working with them?
It's been great. I mean, Kim is everything you would think. If you haven't really got to meet her, you need to sit down and meet her. She's dynamic and as intelligent as you would think she is, valedictorian. Her whole life is just a story of success.
Right.
When you really look at it, high school, college coaching, everywhere she's gone, and you can see why. She's just that dynamic. So she's been great. We'll be filming our first commercial this weekend, she and I.
Oh, just you?
No, just she and I. We can do a little silly stuff commercial. Like and I've got a little shoe deal coming up for the whole team for a certain game where I'm signing all of them, and there's a designer shoe being brought out and stuff like that. So they're real fun, and they're appreciative too, right? Yeah. They realize women's basketball and the same as men's basketball and the same as men's football, and they realize that and they're thankful for whatever they can do. But Alexis and Angel, who I have signed right now, and I want to really try to get Flage to do a song. I saw the other night when she was sitting right in front of me on, I don't know if y'all watched that game, but she had a little move. She was in the corner and she'd cross and she did a little, it's the old little, the hand and the lady went left and she went right. It was great. I said, I want her to try to do a song off my Get Gordon and Get It Done, that little jingle I have, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. I want to pay her to write a song. So and then I saw her, of course, in a Instagram ad today, sitting on the front of her Maserati. I'm like, man, that might be an expensive song, you know. I don't think she's hurting as much.
Yeah, I think she's okay.
Yeah, we did talk early in the year about doing it. I said, like, you've got so many followers out of state. And that's one thing with these out of state kids that come in, whether it's Jaden Daniels or Angel Reese or her. Me as an in-state businessman, right? I don't own Canes around the country, and I don't have Coca-Cola around the country. So you have an out-of-state talent that comes here. To these baseball players, it's the same thing. If they have a big following, let's say they have 50,000 followers on Instagram, but 48,000 of them are from their home state, and they come here, right? And then they go, well, yeah, but you ought to be paying me a lot more. I said, yeah, but you got 2,000 people here. And I don't want to disrespect you at all, but you know it
doesn't do anything.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything good for me. So that's what Flage. That was our conversation. Is like you've got a huge following, but it's L.A., Chicago, Atlanta. It's all over the country.
Yeah, it's not really going to benefit me. Well, a little bit,
but you know. So I'm trying to figure that dynamic out because it's happening a lot. It's going to happen more with all these transfer portal kids, right? They're going to come from another state where they've been successful, a big following, and you know. Trying to figure that out, but
is there a way you could do? Because I mean, obviously, the way you advertise is, you know, you've done it for so long, you've been so good at it. You have to get creative in a sense, right?
Yeah.
You have to, you know, always look at the new ways of how do I get their exposure, but how do I get exposure for myself?
Right.
Is there a way that you could maybe like partner with a national brand with somebody and say, hey, you know, I'm gonna put. I don't know if that would even benefit you either because. You're not gonna. You're still getting out of state
That's
eyeballs.
possible, I guess.
Yeah.
But trying to figure that little dynamic. I'd like national without paying for national.
Exactly.
Right. And that's an expensive ticket once you start paying national.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't want to keep you much longer. I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
But you know, along the lines of getting creative, right? Is there other things that you're trying to do within the state, within you know the players of you know, obviously you have the billboards and the commercials and the stuff, but you mentioned the song. Like, hey, write a song. Like, that's pretty creative. Like, is there something an idea that you have that's something that's like, man, this would be really something really cool that nobody's really done. I know we spoke a little bit last night. I don't know if you're ready to say any of that on air, but you know.
Yeah. So I have some ideas of starting to work with some of our Get Gordon athletes and making it more. I don't know, interactive with them and the various audiences that might be interested in them.
Right.
And so one idea I had, and Trey's up for it, and now I've got much bigger ideas, but just a simple thing. You know, Trey claims to be pretty good in video games, all things video games. He claims to be more than pretty good. And I'm like, how good? Like, I'm the best. And I'm like, okay. Well, there's some football players I think believe they're really, really good. I can beat them all. I'm like, all right. Well, I got a couple I think that might want to challenge that.
Right.
So my thought is, why wouldn't we do some sort of live contest between them, right? And you have callers watching, and you could get some other companies involved, right? And we could donate all the proceeds to charity. We could donate it to the Go Collective for the purpose of baseball. Whole bunch of things, but you could, let everybody watch it, and they're online, they're playing live, and they could do it like in a studio like this.
Yep.
You know, and people could be firing in, and raises money. It brings
it.
awareness. I know, that's what. So we talked about that last night. I think
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think that's something that we want here very equipped, well equipped.
Oh, y'all got a nice little room out there with a big TV.
TVs around.
We can figure out how to pull that off, and I think you could just
Gordon game night.
Gordon game night. I like that.
Look at that. There
So you could do it. It could be a weekly thing, and different people challenge you. It could be across sports. I mean, you could have an LSU woman swimmer challenging a men's basketball player, just beating the hell out of him, right?
Absolutely.
It'd be fun, right?
That.
Yeah. So anything like that to get fans more involved, to raise the awareness of these young men and women, and get them some props and some more money, and kick money to charities or back to the collectives. I think that's great stuff.
Yeah. Last question, then we'll let you go. You talked about the NIL, like the actual LSU collective, not just what you're doing, but the whole group.
Yep.
How have you seen that evolve over the course of the last year and a half since NIL became a thing, right? Because they had one, I think they've restructured it, and they've made it to something. They made it, new rules get brought in and out.
Right.
How have you seen that change?
Yeah, and I know that that they're working very hard at it right now, and they've done a good job of getting it off the ground and getting it stabilized, which they need to do. As I think I mentioned earlier, I think they were a little behind, but I think they've caught up in a lot of areas, and they're savvy and they're doing a good job with it. And I think you're going to see it over the next several weeks to a month undergo another transformation to make it bigger and broader, and hopefully bring in the everyday fan and the everyday businessman, where you can participate on a $500 or $1,000, maybe like a crowdfunding type thing. So there's some really creative people kind of plotting a new course for it. So I think you're going to see it get bigger and better to a point where, we're not going to get outbid, so to speak, by other schools, until at least Congress comes in and stabilizes the playing field. But I do think they're onto some things.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so, because it's not going away. It's
only
going to get bigger. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get more wild. So
I'd like to fade in the background a little bit on this and not have to be the spear as much as I've been, perhaps.
Well, we appreciate what you've done for it, because I think that you've helped stabilize it, at least here at LSU, right?
I think so.
Hopefully LSU continues to do what they want to do in baseball, and you're able to corner that market or do whatever. But I'm obviously watching. I'm a fan of LSU, but I'm a fan of yours, obviously, because of how successful you've been and what you're doing. So thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on the show, and hopefully we can have you back on. Hopefully LSU makes their deep run. We can talk LSU baseball.
I can't wait to watch it.
Yep, me either. All right, we're going to take a 1 minute break. Let's get Gordon out of here, and then we'll be right back. You're watching Miked Up. We'll be back in 1 minute.
All right. Awesome. That was good. It was fun. Good stuff.
Today's show is brought to you by Dos Equis. Here in Louisiana, we like to have a great time. If you're looking to be the life of the tailgate, check out Dos Equis mini kegs. Hold 16 beers, easy to tap, easy to pour, easy to chill. Check it out. Become the life of the party. You're welcome. Our What's for Lunch segment is brought to you by Doe's Eat Place. Maybe the best burger in town. If you're not looking for lunch, you're looking for dinner, go check out Doe's Eat Place. They have unbelievable choice of meats. They have unbelievable tamales. They have a great atmosphere, great vibes. If you're looking for a homey Louisiana type of atmosphere, but you're looking for high quality food, Doe's Eat Place is your spot. Go in the back bar, sit at the bar, have a couple drinks, watch some games, enjoy the atmosphere, enjoy the vibes. Check out Doe's Eat Place, the best place in Baton Rouge to get your meats. Welcome back to Miked Up. If you're just tuning in, I'm sorry you missed the Gordon interview, which was great because he educated me a little bit on the NIL stuff. Obviously, I know the gist of it. I know the general idea of the NIL stuff. I know how it works. But there's other questions. I asked him a question that he actually didn't know necessarily the answer to. And from that question that I asked was, if LSU wanted to sell a jersey of a player, right? And I mentioned Dylan Cruz just because it's about to be baseball season, but if they want to sell a jersey or merchandise of that player with their name on it, are they able to? And two, what is the compensation like? Is there a percentage? Is that negotiable? Is that something that they can do? I don't know the answer to that, but that's something that I've always wondered. Like I've always thought, well, if they want to go and do NIL stuff and they want to, monetize these players and give them like endorsements. Well, what's the biggest endorsement of professional sports? Jersey sales, merchandise, all these things with your name and number on it, and they get a licensing check from the NFL or MLB or NBA based off of what they negotiated. And I really wish now, as I'm talking to you, I wish I would have talked to him. Like, do you see that? Do you think that there's going to be a union or some sort of like agreement between the players and the schools, right? That would actually bring this into play. Like, hey, we get X percent of all merchandise you sell with our name, image, and likeness, right? That's our licensing check. You have to pay everyone, whatever.
Well, if they go to that, they could also do like TV contracts. Like they could almost say, all right, that's you're getting a certain amount. We want a certain amount.
And that's the danger, right? Because they don't have any regulations. They don't have any rules really on this kind of stuff. So if they're going to just let it be a free for all, then who's to say that you can't do that? Who's to say that you're not going to have a salary cap in college football? Who's to say that you're not going to have a union? If you're saying that, he's saying that some states have laws where they're employees of the school. Well, if they're employees of the school, then they have to go workers' comp, all this kind of stuff. They could seemingly form a union to where they could have rights and agreements, and they could have lockouts and holdouts. And now that would not be good for college football, at least I don't think. No. But without having any types of rules or any like regulations on these types of things, this is what you're opening yourself up to. And of course, now that he leaves, I'm thinking about all this stuff. I wish these are questions I would have asked him. But as far as promoting a player, I think the easiest way to promote a player is, hey, I'm gonna go sell your jersey with your name on it. You know what I mean? And so, Harold Perkins, you balled out last year. You're a 5-star. You're really good. Everybody knew you could have been good. They just didn't know how you were gonna play. Now you came out and you played better than anybody probably could have anticipated you as a freshman. So now we're gonna sell 40 Perkins jerseys in the gift shop. What's his percentage of that? What does he make off of that? I don't know these answers, and there may be answers to them. I don't know. He didn't know them, so they obviously don't have them. They obviously don't have the answers, right? And I don't know if that's legal or not legal and within the loose rules of college football. But that's something that they need to figure out, and that's something that they need to, NCAA needs to hone in. I don't know if they're ever going to be able to do that. I think that college baseball, I think LSU baseball, college baseball is a growing sport and is not going backwards. It's only going to go forward, right? They just announced that you can have, they took the volunteer tag off the extra coach. Now you get 3 or 4 full-time coaches on staff. That's a huge adjustment to college baseball. You have, with SEC Network and all these different, TV contracts, they're on TV a lot more often. You have a lot of guys that, are going to school and not going to the draft that are throwing 100 miles an hour, 95, 97, 98 miles an hour in college that you didn't use. If a guy threw 95 miles an hour out of high school, there's no chance he was coming to college. Very small chance he was coming to college. Now, these guys are coming here, they're developing, they're getting NIL money, and they're going to the MLB draft 3 years later. But you go and you make a big run. I mean, you saw, I said it earlier in the show, you had 1,000 people at the first pitch banquet. People here love baseball. People in the South love baseball. People in the Southeastern Conference love baseball. Go look at all of the stadiums in the SEC. So all of the best stadiums in the country. LSU's got one. Now, honestly, I would say LSU probably needs to do some updates to their stadium because Ole Miss has a brand new one. Mississippi State has a brand new one. Vanderbilt's got a good facility. South Carolina had a brand new one in 2009 when LSU got theirs. Tennessee. You have Texas A&M's got a good one. Florida guy's getting a good new one. Like Tennessee. Arkansas, Tennessee, all of these schools are. Kentucky just got a new facility. Like they are building their facility and they're putting money into the baseball programs. Well, with that, you're going to get better players and you get more attention. With that added attention, how are you going to monetize it? And when you do monetize it, how are you going to pay your players? LSU goes and makes a run this year, which everybody anticipates them doing, and they go into Omaha or they go into the regional and super regional, and they're playing on ESPN and ESPN2, and they're on national TV, and you start seeing Dylan Cruz do what he's doing. He's wearing his custom cleats, and you see Trey Morgan hit a double, and his helmet falls off, and his hair's flowing back, and you see Tommy Tanks hits the ball at the school board and pimps it, and you see Ty Floyd strike somebody out and beat his chest. You're going to see these personalities start to take shape on the field. People are going to come to them and want to give them NIL deals. National people, national sponsors, baseball companies. How are you going to manage that? How are you going to deal with that? Right? These are all things that are going to happen. Like it's going to happen. That's just the way it works because they're going to see, damn, this kid is unbelievable. This kid's going to be the #1 overall pick in the draft. Let me get in on him now, early on, while he's still in college. Now, obviously, Dylan's got a good team around him, and they understand this type of situation, how agents can get involved. But there's going to be some major movement within this kind of stuff over the summer, especially in baseball, I think.
Yeah, I think, well, you see it in basketball now with guys that sign with shoe companies. And so...
Flaugier signed with a shoe company.
Yeah, like, so they sign with a certain shoe company, but the school is sponsored by Nike or whatever it may be. And so you'll see some of those conflicts start to happen. Well, in baseball, like, LSU's gear is sponsored by Marucci, but what if New Balance comes to, or Easton or any of these other companies come and want to sign the guy to an NIL deal? Well, does he use a Wilson glove or does he have to stay with Marucci? And like, I think you'll see. Well,
and that's the other thing is like, I think that way. I think if that happens, right? Like, LSU has a deal with Marucci. In Major League Baseball, the teams have a deal with Nike. Right? That's who has the uniforms. A player can't sign an individual apparel deal and wear Under Armour uniforms, right? Like, that's the deal. So I think that, I obviously, the deal that the school signs with a product or a company, like, that supersedes individual. Now, outside, off the field, right? Because the only thing that contract entails, at least from what I can tell, is on-field play, right? They can't control what you wear off the field. That's not in the contract with LSU or Jay Johnson or whoever they signed the contract with. It's like, hey, when you're on the field, you have to wear Nike cleats, Nike uniforms, Marucci gloves, Marucci batting gloves, Marucci bats, all that kind of stuff. Like, that's what they got. Now, off the field, you can sign with any apparel company you want, have whatever, right? Baseball, you could sign. Like, I had a deal with Adidas for 3 years. And in that deal, I had, merch money that I could buy from their website on all the stuff that I can have, right? I could wear stuff like underneath my jersey as long as the logo was not showing. I could wear my cleats though. My cleats could be any cleat that I wanted on the field. If I had a deal with that. Now, if I signed with Adidas and I wore Nike, I'd get in trouble from Adidas and I wouldn't be able to do it. But just because they have a deal with Nike and uniforms, you don't mean you have to wear the Nike cleats. Now, that's where separation. They don't have, but that, I think LSU has a deal with Nike. I think they can only wear Nike cleats. So I think the deals that they have with the schools supersedes the personal deals. But these kids are going to be able to get opportunity to do a lot of different things off the field, especially when you're good, and especially when you are going to be in the national spotlight. Football's always in the national spotlight, so they're getting a lot of, attention. But baseball down here in the Southeastern Conference, especially a kid who's very highly rated and who's going to get drafted really high and have a long big league career, at least potentially. These big endorsers, these big companies are going to endorse these kids, and they're going to say, okay, I'm going to sign you to an endorsement deal, and this is what I want. This is what I want to give you, and with the hopes that they like what they do, you work well together, that when they do get to the next level and they have that bigger national exposure, they stay with them, right? And so, I think that's kind of a situation that you're about to see this year with baseball. Now, I could be wrong, but I think that, I also think, part of the camp part of it, I used to run a Christmas camp. I just couldn't put my name on it. I couldn't do any of that stuff. And we'd have, the kids would pay, you'd pay the instructors and all this kind of stuff. Now they can do that. So the bigger that you get, let's say, and I keep using Dylan Cruz because he's going to be the #1 overall pick probably, and whatever. So let's say Dylan Cruz wants to have a baseball camp. He gets drafted, or he actually, let's not even use Dylan Cruz.
Well, I have an example, is Josh Pearson. So now over the break, I think he had a hitting camp up in Monroe. Well, obviously his brother has a name because he's in pro ball or whatever, but you saw Josh get some time last year where a lot of LSU fans found out who he was. He's a West Monroe kid, but not a lot of people down here might have known who he was, but he goes up last year and has a good freshman year. He's batting second in between Dylan and all these other people, and it's like, oh, this kid's good. And all of a sudden he pops up with a camp, and now you have more eyeballs in that camp, I think is kind of the point you were making.
Yeah, but so and like even to further that point, right? Let's say that he does run this camp, and look, Pearson's great, but let's use Tommy White. He had 27 homers last year, 28, whatever he hit, with 360. He was freshman All-American, first team All-American, the whole deal. So let's say he wants to run the camp. Well, he's very hyped up. He's going to be a hot commodity in the draft the next year. So coming into that next offseason, let's say he wants to have a summer camp. Let's say he doesn't go play summer ball, or he has a camp right before the season starts, right before he gets back to school. He runs this camp, and he has all these kids, and he says, okay, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. Well, now it's like basketball. All these AAU basketball camps, right, they're sponsored by Nike or Under Armour or, like you have the LeBron James camp, and it's Nike. You have the Steph Curry camp, and it's all Under Armour. So Under Armour
Michael
sponsors
Jordan
shoes,
has
the
a
jerseys
camp.
and stuff. Who's to say that, okay, Tommy White's going to have a camp over the summer? He's going to sign a deal with Nike. And now he's going to have a local camp, and he's going to have, a weekend, and Nike's going to say, all right, we're going to be the sponsor of this camp. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to give you cleats, or we're going to supply you with whatever you need, right? Or we're going to give you money, and we're going to pay for the cost of living. You want an overnight camp. So now, let's say you have 400 kids, right? And let's say overnight, 2-day camp, it's from the morning until the afternoon both days. You have 2 kids. I'm giving ideas away. People are going to listen. You have 2 kids. You have 2 days of that camp. 8 to 4. You provide breakfast and lunch on both days, right? And then they leave at the end of the camp on Saturday. You could charge $500 a kid
for that
at minimum, right? And if you have 500 kids on one of those camps, what's that? What's 500 times 500? Anybody have that math?
Yeah, a lot. It's 25 and a lot of zeros.
250,000?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? I don't know. I'm doing math on top of my head. Let's see. Let's do it right here on the thing. Calculator. 500 times 500. $250,000. Right? And so obviously if Nike's going to be your sponsor, they're probably going to take some of that.
Also, you mentioned food. Who's to say he doesn't get a food sponsor?
No, but that's what I'm saying. You get someone, you say, Canes, walk-ons, whoever, sponsor this. You're going to provide this. You're going to provide that. You're going to get this exposure. Okay, Nike, we're going to give you 30% of what we bring in, right? We're going to give you that. In exchange, you're going to give us cleats and all the other stuff, and that cost is going to go into renting out the field and the hotel and all this stuff, right? So that's real money. You know what I mean? And that's stuff that you can do. That's stuff that I would imagine is going to start happening. And maybe I should just do that. Maybe that should be my business. Let's go get these kids and start running these damn camps.
Let's do it.
Promote them. But that's what to me, that's if you're a kid or you're someone you want to be able to build your brand, right? It's nice to go and say you get a endorsement from somebody and you have to do a couple things and post stuff. It's easy and you make $50,000-$60,000 from this, right? That's awesome. But when you're done playing, are you still going to make that? If you're not in the NFL and you're done with college, and then are you still that's not sustainable over time. It's not going to keep you afloat for the rest of your life. But you run some of these camps and you learn how the business side of it, and you learn how to work that stuff, and you learn how to build that. And now you build a brand, and let's say they love your camps. That camp can live forever. Now that camp goes from having 500 kids to, all right, we're going to have 4 of those a year. Now I'm making $1 million a year just on that camp.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And you're not coaching it the whole time. Your face is on it. Your name's on it. You're in line with the brand. You go and hire all these guys to work the camp. The Manning Passing Academy. They're there working the camp, but they make so much money on that.
Yeah.
Sponsors. I just laid out a business plan. If anybody's listening, I'll help you out. But I mean, that's kind of where you go with it. So I'm glad he came in here. I would like to have him back in at some point to talk more about it. I like the business side of this kind of stuff. Like I enjoy, learning it. I'm in the business world now. Like I do commercial insurance, but like I'm trying to do a whole bunch of different things, and you learn it on the fly. And what he's doing is he's teaching these kids the business early on. The best way to learn business is to be right in the middle of it, right? And they are in a situation where they're not going to put themselves at a ton of risk, but they're still able to learn it. Now they can learn as much as they want to learn. So that's my soapbox on this NIL stuff.
That was a great idea about the camps. That
It
sounds
is.
like something that needs to happen now.
Mic'd up camps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was to say, you were talking about all these people. I was like, man, your name's big enough to do that right now.
Look,
especially when you just got done playing. I mean, you said it to Jacques. He's like, it's your first, real full year of being completely done. I was like,
maybe.
And you were saying, I was like, Mikie Mahtook camp sounds real.
You
nice
and
right
Jay
now.
Mitch. Like
Did
it would
I
be.
just come up with
Mikie and Mitch camp.
Yes.
I can video it to market. Like make for the next one. I'm sure
you go and you rent out. Like I'd like to get LSU, but I'm sure that wouldn't be able to happen. But like you go
traction.
You high or
no? You'd want
like
a bigger
full
field. You'd want to have, but I'd want an indoor facility too. I gotta stop. Somebody's gonna take my.
I'm sure you have enough
idea.
friends that would be willing to help.
Oh, I'd pay them.
You want a women's basketball update?
Yep.
47-18 at half.
Angel Reese is 3 rebounds away.
3 rebounds away from breaking the record.
All right, so she's gonna get that in this third quarter.
Yeah. Probably gonna sit down in the third quarter.
All right, let's go to our Pelicans insider here, Ron. Yeah, go join your seat. B.I. gonna be back in the homestand this week.
Definitely gonna be back this
Definitely.
week. He will be
Definitely.
back. That's what he said. He said as long as the pain is tolerable, he good. And he said it's getting better. He said,
played 5-on-5.
Yeah, played 5-on-5. Last week he finally ramping up to like full team practice this week. Well, today they said it. He went through it well. He said it's just all about like tolerance, and they won't like do a back-to-back. So like they got Tuesday, Thursday, and then Saturday. That's the home games. Tuesday the Nuggets. Thursday I want to say Minnesota, and I have to look for Saturday.
Tuesday is in tomorrow.
Yeah, we got that one.
We're going.
Yeah, we got that one.
Is he gonna be? He's not gonna be back tomorrow.
If I was betting on it, I'd say he was back Thursday. If I had to bet on it.
And then he'll go Thursday, and then won't play Saturday, or you're saying he's not gonna play back-to-back actual if the game's on Thursday and then Friday game.
Yeah,
like not 2 games in a row.
Yeah,
you're not talking about like Thursday break, Friday. He can do that.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna play like a Wednesday, Thursday.
Game. For example, like if he played tomorrow, he wouldn't play Thursday. Like they'd save him for Saturday.
Right. So my saying is, if he plays on Thursday, he's not playing Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay. So that type of back-to-back. So back-to-back games, not necessarily back-to-back days.
Yeah.
Got it. So even though they have a day off in between, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We need him back.
Yeah.
Zion will be back
Zion? 2 weeks. They said they're gonna rescreen him for the hamstring next week, and then the week after that he should be back, because it's just a tweak.
And so where are the Pelicans at now in the standings? 4th or 5th?
Right now we're 5th because they're 3-8 the whole month of January. It's horrible. Like the bench been doing all they could do, but it's just not enough. Like that's 70 points you don't have every night.
Yeah, I know. And so you can't have McCollum can't pick up the slack the entire. Now obviously you have a team full of guys that have been performing well. Obviously, they're younger, they're good, but when you have 2 of the 3 superstars on your team out, it's hard to sustain that throughout the course of the year. Yesterday they had 2 16-point leads that they blew.
Yeah.
They lost the game to the Heat, right? With Zion and Ingram back, right? So let's say Ingram comes back this week. 2 weeks, Zion comes back. Are they back to being the best team in the West?
Definitely, they definitely have a case for it. They're easily the deepest team in the West when they fully healthy. And like you said, like with Zion and B.I. being out, it really put a lot more pressure on guys like Jose, who was eating really like off those guys, feeding off of them. He was getting a lot of looks. Jose actually, like the past 8 games, his 3-point percentage is down now because he's forced to take he's forced to be the guy now, basically.
And and this isn't me saying anything bad about Jose. Like I think he's a very good player.
Yeah.
But he's a role player right now. Like he's not You don't build your team around him. He is very vital to your team, right? Because he's a great defender. He's a good point guard. He can shoot. But he's not a guy that you say, hey, you go out there and put up 30 for us and like carry this team. So now he's trying to do that. You're seeing his numbers diminish because guys are focusing on him. When they can't focus on him, he's as good as it gets.
Yep.
And so, I think it's necessary. Obviously, basketball is a team game. Most sports are team games, and it's everybody feeds off of each other. So I love when they're good. I need them to be good. I wish you're going tomorrow. I'm jealous.
Yep.
I wish I was going tomorrow, but I'm not gonna be able to go. Give me some good update. Get us some good updates. So you're our Pels insider.
All
man.
the content, man.
All the content. Playoff basketball in New Orleans would be fun.
It'd be great.
I mean, you saw it last year.
Yeah, we went to 2 of the games last year.
Yeah, imagine this year when they're actually supposed to win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And supposed to get through and get. New Orleans loves a winner, man. New Orleans, it's a fun place to be.
These are the most sellouts the Smoothie King Center had since Chris Paul was here.
When Chris Paul was throwing layups to Tyson Chandler, alley-oops to Tyson Chandler. That's when they were in the playoffs every year. I feel like. Then you get back to that. Speaking of winners, I don't think there's a bigger winner out there right now than Joe Burrow.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, what this man did this weekend over in Buffalo in the snow, emotional game. Obviously, Damar Hamlin was back in the stadium watching the game. What he did there and how he performed and how they dominated the Bills, that's a testament to him. He's put himself in the category of top 3. I would say top 2. If he goes and wins this weekend and beats Mahomes, I would say he's the best quarterback in the league.
That make him 3-0 or 4-0 against Mahomes.
4-0. Last 4 games, 4-0. They'd be 4-0 against Mahomes. This one would go to the Super Bowl. 2 years in a row, he'd be in the Super Bowl. Last year, he was the only reason they made it to the Super Bowl. Their offensive line sucked. Their team wasn't supposed to be there. They had some skill position players. He goes out there and basically wills them to the Super Bowl. Goes out there, everybody thought they were going to win the Super Bowl because of him. Obviously, they came up short. This year, can they do it again? Was it a fluke? That's what everybody was saying before the year. First game starts, throws 4 interceptions. One of his worst games of probably his entire career, not just professional career, entire career. 4 interceptions in one game. I can't imagine he's ever done that before. Everybody's kind of questioning. They start off a little slow. Then they play New Orleans. New Orleans should have beat them. New Orleans was beating them. They kind of dominated a little bit. All of a sudden, Joe comes back, takes them in there, beats them. They haven't lost since. They've won 10 straight games, I believe.
10
Is it 10 straight? So them and the Niners, 2 hottest teams in the league, they won 10 straight games. Joe Burrow takes them to the AFC Championship for the second year in a row. First year he got tore his ACL, so you can't even count that first year. So technically his 2 full seasons in the NFL, 2 AFC Championship games, possibly 2 Super Bowls. Mahomes did that. Mahomes has been in 5 straight, right? So obviously he's been in the league longer, he's done it longer. So you can say, Mahomes is, better because of his resume. I'm willing to bet if I had to pick a quarterback, I would rather pick Joe Burrow. I'm biased a little bit, but the way he goes about it and the way he assesses the defense and the way he reads the defense and he understands what's happening in his football IQ and his intelligence on the field, I don't think anybody in the league can compare to that. Now, obviously, Mahomes
just makes it look flashy.
Yeah, Mahomes has a creativity. He's got that dynamic aspect. Now, I'll say this. Mahomes is going to be in trouble this weekend.
Yeah.
Trey Hendrickson
with a high ankle sprain, not as mobile. High ankle sprains are a real deal, man.
Yeah.
If you listen to the game, you heard Tony Romo talk about it. Tony's like, look, when you sprain your ankle, when you have a high ankle sprain, that first day is not bad. You can play on it that game because you can come back in, you tape it up, you have adrenaline, you can move on it. That next day, you're basically on crutches for the next couple of days. So you can't move. He said, I had it. I couldn't play I played the game. I couldn't play the next day. He said, I'd imagine him playing, but he's not going to be the same guy. He's not going to be able to move around. He's not going to be as mobile. And with Trey Hendrickson and the way the defense is playing right now for the Bengals, he's a sitting duck.
Yeah.
Now, you don't want to doubt him because he is Patrick Mahomes, and they still have Travis Kelce, and they have Pacheco back there, and you have all these
And
guys.
Andy Reid can scheme it up.
What's that?
Andy Reid can scheme it up.
Andy Reid, and you have Andy Reid, right? He's been in this situation before, but the Bengals and the 49ers, the two hottest teams in the league right now.
Yeah.
So
that would be the third time they met in the Super Bowl too. Like if they met, that'd be the third time.
Who's that?
The Bengals and the 49ers.
Oh, really? Ever?
Yeah. Because they made it
when was the
twice
last
in the
time
90s.
Cincinnati's been this outside of last year?
The 90s. Because they played the 49ers twice and lost both times in the Super Bowl.
So you're a stat guy.
Yeah, I mean,
Look at that. You
it's-
looked that up?
No, I just remember because they had some on NFL Network called the Missing Rings, and like it was teams that never won the Super Bowl but
The
were so
Bills?
close. Yeah, the Bills,
4
the
straight?
Vikings, yeah.
Yeah.
Like and the Bengals was on there twice. They had Boomer Esiason.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, they lost to the Niners in the 81 and 88 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
It's you. Ron coming up with the
Ron
big,
is
with the facts.
Ron's got him, coach.
With the facts.
Yeah.
But listen, I love watching them. Obviously, Louisiana they're kind of adopted Bengals fans, right? Right now because of Joe and Jamar. But man, the Bengals are playing some of the best football out there right now, and I think that
Speaking of Jamar, I thought he caught that ball.
he did catch the ball.
He did catch that ball.
I thought that was
NFL rules are
Bro,
ass.
the catch, no catch, roughing the passers, like all of that stuff, like I don't know how you fix it. I don't know how you say, okay, well, we're going to change the catch rule. They've already changed it once. The roughing the passer thing has to get fixed.
Yeah.
I mean, the roughing the passer thing has to be reviewable. I understand that.
You don't want to review everything.
Right.
But they do.
That's got to be reviewable.
They
Or you have to go, they can look at the replays from the top and say, okay, don't even go to the review, like this is overturned.
Look at it. Yeah,
Do
look
that
at it from up there.
Because that's pretty obvious.
But they review everything now.
And if it's not obvious, then it's roughing the passer.
Yeah.
Right? If it's obviously a softer call, it's not roughing the passer. Got to fix that because games are getting determined by that.
I'm surprised Arden Key didn't get one for
dropping on Pat's ankle.
Yeah.
Oh, on his ankle.
Yep.
Yeah. But, I mean, that was...
I mean, it was a football play, but,
Right.
they could make it go the other way.
Especially with Pat back there.
Right. It was Brady, coach. He was getting that flag.
Yeah, he was getting it. Oh, did you see the commentator for Pat was funny when he, threw the ball on the dirt?
Oh,
what a play by Mahomes.
Collinsworth.
But then Trevor Lawrence overthrew him by 10 yards when it went right through Kirk's arms. I was like, all right.
Too much, bro. It's easy to have a narrative whenever, to create
Romo was the same way with the Bills. There was one point in the game where he was like, I didn't know about the Bengals. I've seen it from Allen and the Bills. I was like, seen what? The Bengals win a Super Bowl last year.
right.
Jim? Like he just Jim.
When he said that, I was like,
I think a lot of people were nervous because of the offensive line.
Yeah.
And I was one of them, right? I didn't want to bet against Joe. It's hard to bet against Joe, but you just don't know because the offensive line, the Bills' defense was good. Now the reason why they got Von Miller was so they get to the quarterback. That was their missing piece. Well, Von Miller's out. They don't have that piece anymore. They obviously weren't. They only got to Joe Burrow one time, right? And they didn't take advantage of it. The offensive line played their best game of the year, right? And that's with 3 starters down.
Yeah.
So you got to give credit to them. They can do anything they want right now. They run the ball, they throw the ball, they play great defense, they adjust, they blitz well, they disguise their blitzes well. They're fun. They're fun to watch, and I think they have people love rooting for Joe, not just here in Louisiana or Baton Rouge, but like around. Everybody loves Joe. Confident. Not cocky.
But yeah, it's like he sits like there's a line between confidence and cocky, and there's that line, and I've never seen an athlete quite sit on it like Joe does, to where he doesn't cross it, but he sits on it to where everybody loves him. I don't think I've ever seen an athlete so perfectly split the two.
Yeah, he does a very good job, and I think people want to compare like the Tom Brady comparisons, obviously, but like that's probably the best one to compare. I think he's more athletic than Tom though, so I don't even think you can compare him to Tom. Maybe like the way he goes about it and sees the field, maybe, and like his leadership skills, maybe. But he's more athletic. Like he runs a 4.6 40, and like Tom can't do that.
Yeah.
Like
they have to spy him.
Was that?
They have to spy him.
Yeah, and he has to go out and win a championship. Hopefully this is the year. But I think that them and the 49ers. I did say it was probably going to be the Bills and the 49ers. Obviously, I think the Bengals beat the Chiefs, and it's the Bengals and the 49ers, and hope that they win. All right, let's talk a little college football before we shut this thing down. I've talked a lot on here about Deion in Colorado, right? people can say what they want about Deion. You know, is he just the rah-rah guy? It's too media. It's too this. Too much in the social media. I understand all of those concerns. At the end of the day, he's recruiting. That's how he's doing it. I think, at least I know. He understands football. He knows how to coach football. He knows how to motivate these kids. He knows how to get these kids to buy in. Now, he hasn't won anything on the field, but what he has done is he's brought in a ton of talent to Colorado. He just got the number 1 cornerback in the country for next year's recruiting class.
This year's.
Oh, it's this year's.
2023.
He'll be a freshman.
Yeah,
2023. This year's recruiting class to come in. Jaden Rashada just got released from his letter of intent. 5-star quarterback, number 1 quarterback in the country, number 2 dual threat quarterback.
No, he's I think he might be the number 1 dual threat, but he's
a 5-star.
Yeah, he's a 5-star, but I think he's probably 3 or 4 if I.
So he was supposed to go to Florida. He gets released from his letter of intent. Went on a visit to Colorado. I would imagine that's probably where he's going to go. I don't know. I may be wrong, but he seems like he wants the NIL stuff. Mm-hmm. Like obviously you hear the $13 million, all that kind of stuff, but him going to Colorado just to get a visit, that's impressive in and of itself. Now Colorado does have a gauntlet of a schedule next year. They don't play one team that's not in a Power 5 conference, I believe.
Yeah, they open it at TCU.
Yeah, so they have a tough schedule. They have a tough road, but you know I said 500. I'm gonna still stick to 500 because of how tough their schedule is, but
they got some talent there.
They're gonna be relevant.
Yeah.
They're gonna be relevant.
Well, Boulder's a great college town.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not hard to recruit there.
Yeah. I mean, they used to be Oklahoma was badass in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They have Buffalo. They have a live mascot. Buffalo. Yeah. It's great.
Deion's scared of it.
I mean, I would be scared.
He asked the lady that runs it. He was like, "Is that thing gonna run out with us?" And she was like, "Nah, it runs out before you." He's like, "Thank God."
Can you imagine that thing getting on the loose? No way.
I think Deion will still be the fastest one there with 8 toes.
Yes.
Reed Gilbert transfers again
to Nebraska. That's Colorado's home opener in week 2.
Here's the question though: is he going to play? Nobody knows. Right?
You never know with him.
You never know. We've lost Reed Gilbert. He's going back to Georgia. Well, he didn't play at all.
No.
At Georgia.
Yep.
Right now he transfers to Nebraska. Is he going to play at Nebraska? We don't know.
You won't know until the first game.
You know, I don't know what's happening. I hope that he figures his stuff out. Yeah, I hope he figures his stuff out. I don't know what the issue is there, but
I'll take Mason Taylor. Thank you.
Yes, and I'll take the guy we just got from Texas. Yeah. What's his name?
Pimpton.
Yep. Pimpton. I always want to call him Pemberton.
Yeah,
it's Pimpton.
Yeah, it is spelled like that, but it's Pimpton.
I think he'll play a pretty similar role to what Mason did this year. I think you'll see him get.
Well, I think he finally has his 2 tight end sets, right? Speaking of LSU football, obviously we talked about Omar Spieghts coming in from Oregon State, first team All Pac-12 linebacker. That was a position of need. He is now coming to LSU. I think he's going to obviously going to slot right in there as a starter, I would imagine, unless he just isn't as good as some of the other guys. But to have that experience, to have a guy there, I think that is huge. LSU's in a really good spot going into next year. I think that, the guys they brought in with the recruiting and the portal, they're obviously going to have to get them to buy into their system and fit in with all the other guys on the team. But I think that they've put themselves in a spot to where, okay, we're not going to miss it. We're going to be better than we were last year because we're more talented because we have experience now. The young guys are more experienced, but we're also bringing in guys to fill in these positions that may be more talented than the guys they lost. Who knows?
Yeah. I
don't want to say more talented, but
I would kind of go out on a limb and say the cornerback prospects that they signed are more talented than the guys that they signed last year.
Yeah.
They needed veteran leadership.
Right.
They went out and got that.
Bringing Ron Brooks back, huge.
Right. And
not Ron Brooks. Greg Brooks.
Greg Brooks. But
Ron Brooks
the two true corners, cover corners that they did get in Denver Harris and
J.K. Johnson? Or the Syracuse guy?
The Syracuse guy.
Yep.
I think both of those guys are true.
Here.
Right. I think those guys are 2 true outside corners that'll take away a part of the field and can really play and have that talent to take the ball away.
Yeah.
We didn't have that last year.
Right.
Converse did take it away against Bama, but
we didn't have a ton of turnovers.
It wasn't consistent.
I see your point. Denver, I think, is the closest. He's the best corner we've had since Derek, freshman year Derek.
Yeah.
I think he takes away his whole side. Like they're not going to.
You would hope that's the case, right?
He's talented enough to do.
Yeah,
that.
right.
Yeah,
that's what you would hope. You don't know he has to go. I mean, he played well when he was playing on the field last year, and then you hope he just he buys in. That's the big thing. It's like you can have as much talent as you want, but if you don't buy in, it's not going to work together. All right. Appreciate y'all sticking with us, hanging out with us. We got
Angel Reese broke the record.
She did?
Yep.
Angel Reese broke the double-double record. I'd imagine that they're probably going to go on and win this game. I think they're probably up by 20 or 30 points now.
Yeah, I can look.
Yeah,
they
I can
were
score.
Up by 30 at half. So
it's almost not fair, right?
I think she should sit down the rest of the night now that she's done. Now that she's broke it. Yeah, they're up 65 to 33.
Yeah. So 32 points. So they're doing what they need to do. They're making a statement, which I like that. That's what they should do.
Yeah.
The teams
they saw that ranking this morning. They're like, man, watch this.
Love that. That fits right in Mulkey's wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like her motivator.
That fits the attitude of honestly the whole
personality.
team from Kim to Joe to Gary to the players. I mean, they like that chip on their shoulder.
Yep, I like it too. All right, let's go to the Seggies. Our curtain call is brought to you by our friends at Dozy Place. You like that we finally got their sign in time. New sign, got it in here. Appreciate that they finally got it in here. Dozy Place sponsors this segment, our curtain call segment. Let's go around the table.
First,
what you got?
My curtain call is Joe Burrow in his pregame throw. He just knew. This is
You're talking about the one in the snow where he spins
the one,
around?
Right, where he spins, like Jack said.
You got the video?
Yeah, I have the
can
video.
we play the video?
Yeah, it's not a. It's just it's just a video.
That was an NFL social video.
Like Jack said, he just skates the line between like being the cockiest dude in the league and just being confident.
Here's the deal: like that wasn't like he filmed himself. You know what I mean?
No, somebody else was filming him, but you could tell he was feeling himself.
Yeah,
right?
he felt good. It's like he did it. Like that's just.
Like you've been in a mood before on the field where it's just like you just catching fly balls.
When I'm in the mood, when you're in the mood like that and you're kind of in the zone, like you don't even notice anything around. You're just feeling it, and like that's.
Yeah, he definitely didn't know the camera guy was behind him.
Yeah, love that.
But mine is along
the
similar line.
Actually, I forgot you're playing it, right?
Yeah, I'm about to play it. Gotta wait on the Twitters to load.
The tweeters.
I don't have a Twitter coach. It was still a dot. Like either way.
Yeah, it was a dime. But here's the deal. That throw, like warm up throw, it's all like they're getting loose and getting timing. Like
just a.
You don't have to see them. You know, like okay, I'm gonna snap it, throw it up in the air, and go get it. You know who's running. Like that's shows you how in tune he is with his receivers. Now obviously they weren't running full speed. It was just getting loose, but I think that was pretty swaggy.
Yeah, you don't have to play mine because I think CBS will probably copyright it. It's Joe. But and I guess some of his teammates too. But after the game, they ask him about the NFL selling tickets for the Bills Chiefs, and he was like, "Well, better send those refunds."
And then you see Jamar Chase.
Yeah, they tweet it, and everybody else tweets it, and it was like, "Oh yeah." And his Instagram caption after was "uninvited guests."
Yeah,
I thought that was a Joe move.
Love
that
that.
was cool.
He doesn't miss, dude.
No, his captions don't.
His captions
miss.
are always like 2 or 3 words, but they never ever miss.
I mean, the king of the north.
Yeah, and it was like uninvited guests. I was like, I wouldn't have ever thought about that, but that's just such a Joe cool caption.
It's unbelievable. What you got?
All right, so after the Cowboys lost last night to the 49ers, like how they they video the coaches and stuff to like get them.
Is this you got this video on there?
Yeah,
Click on
but
the
it's a picture. But
picture.
So it's Mike McCarthy like just stiff arming like the camera dude like just out the way, like he didn't want to talk to him, just like hand all in the camera, like.
He is stiff arming this man. Yeah, I got it.
And then right after, Jerry Jones was like, "Nah, like we still coming back."
I don't know how true that is. He's a big Sean guy.
Yeah. But
Jerry Jones.
He's a big Sean. Sean. I mean, Sean. That's where he came. That's where he started.
Yeah.
He lives in Dallas. You play it? No
but the thing with Sean, like he gonna want somewhere where he can have the control, and Jerry not going.
Yeah.
That's definitely not happening.
Boy, are they gonna fire him?
Who, McCarthy?
Probably not.
Yeah, Jerry said like that's their guy.
All right.
They didn't fire that play caller after that last play. Goodness.
Kellen Moore is their play caller.
Zeke got freaking pancaked, and then the receiver got smacked too. I don't know what that play call was. I know you were in a bad spot, but I feel like you had a little something better than that.
That's tough. We struggling over there? There we go. Oh, yeah. Get out of my face. I don't want any part of that.
I mean, the media people have been getting it this year. Yeah. Devontae Adams showed the camera guy.
Yeah. Well, I will say, as like a camera person, he is very close.
Yeah, I would say, as a guy who just lost the game, and it's a tough game, it's a tough way to lose,
You shouldn't be within arm's reach.
Yeah.
Like, he shouldn't be able to do that.
Bro, you can zoom. Like, cameras, just zoom in,
you can
bro.
zoom in. He shouldn't be able to reach you like that.
He was trying to get the close-up shot.
Yeah.
No doubt. My curtain call, and the only reason I'm saying this is because I was there, and I kind of took it in a different perspective than I normally have, is the fans, the baseball fans here at LSU. I know they're hungry for the baseball team. Everybody keeps talking about the baseball team, but having 1,000+ at a first pitch banquet that, doesn't really have, outside of the LSU team being there, and like Jay Johnson didn't have a lot of entertainment. Like I say entertainment, but have a keynote speaker or anybody there to bring anyone. Shows you the fan base and how ready they are for the season. That's my curtain call to the fan base. 1,000+ at a first pitch banquet is pretty impressive. Most all time, I think. I think that's the most they've ever had. So shout out to y'all. Appreciate that. I know the players appreciate that. I know the team appreciate. I know the coaches appreciate that. I appreciate it as a fan. All right, good show. You made it through another show.
Did it again.
Next man up, baby. That's how we play it over here. Next man up. Jay will be back next week after his honeymoon, and he's he'll have the ring on his finger. He's newly married. Lloyd will be back when his hiatus is up. Hopefully that is next week as well.
Love you, Lloyd.
Keep you updated. We'll be back again on Wednesday at our regular scheduled time from 6 to 8 p.m. Like and subscribe. Please share it. Tell a friend. If you don't want to watch us and you want to listen to us and you like listening to our podcast, you can get us at anywhere you get your podcast. Wherever a podcast lives, we live. Please continue to watch. Please continue to enjoy. Please continue to share our clips on socials. We work hard at what we do, and we appreciate all the support. Appreciate y'all. You're watching Mik'd Up. We'll see you on Wednesday. Peace.